I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And the dude behind me, or above me, whatever, is Mr. Tom Macdonald. Senor Macdonald. Shout out to the homie.
Yep. Peering over our heads like that.
I think my relationship to the homie has been very misunderstood. I've said over and over again, I admire him. I'm glad he's doing what he's doing for himself. We may not agree with the homie on everything, but anybody that can angle the internet to eke out a living for themselves is good in my book. Anyway, shout out to the homie. This is for the big homie Matt.
Technically. It's for like a lot of people.
It's for a lot of people. It's for a lot of the homies, but Matt in particular. Go ahead.
So this is this one, as you can see along the bottom, it's for Phoebe. Also, I'm not even sure how much detail I don't know how much detail he wanted us to say, but his wife had passed away just a couple months ago from cancer, and his daughter also has it, or his wife's daughter has it too now. And so this is like her fight song, and apparently she and her daughter Phoebe have both been fans of our channel, or part of our village for a while, and so we are gonna throw you to the way front of the line so that way you can get your song in there. But we're rooting for you, Phoebe, and we're gonna send you a shirt. Sorry, I get emotional about these things. We're gonna send you a shirt, so be on the lookout for that. I'm gonna get the information from your dad on that, and that will be in the mail for you. But I'm very curious about this song because obviously the name of the song is F Cancer, which is a great title. So yeah, kind of want to hear what you're all about with what type of thing would inspire you in this current situation that you're in. And
yeah,
if you need anything, let us know.
Yeah, and shout out to Pops for getting the song. They're usually $125. You do it 3 times, you get knocked down at $75 rate. Here's the thing, Matt. Let's do this. So pick another song, because this one we're gonna do.
This one's on us.
This one's on us. I mean, really, it's a song for the whole community, to be honest with you. And I think everybody's going to benefit. So I'm not doing you any favors, Matt, because you're doing something for the community. So pick another song, and we'll add it to the list. This one, though, is for Phoebe and your...
I always wanted to be able to say, it's on the house. I always thought it was a funny line. Oh, that one's on the house. That one's on the house. This one's on the house.
It's on the hut, because we're in a village.
Right, it's on the hut.
And we're all Paul. so this one's on the hut. Take it from there. All right, so this is F Cancer, Tom Macdonald. Let's go.
Everybody knows someone who's sick. 40% will get cancer. Only half's gonna live. Your mom and your dad and your sister stand inside a room, and someone won't survive it. Do you hope it isn't you? I swear that cancer has a cure, but they're refusing to make it. They've done like 40 years of research, 90 billion in donations.
Yeah.
We've been running for the cure and wearing ribbons for ages. Why are people still going through radiation? It's crazy. $100 billion industry, they can't afford to end it, and nobody wants to die. Our only option is to spend it. We'd give anything to stick around for just another second. Give a fortune to the doctors who promise they can extend it. The profits are astronomical, the hospitals and the clinics are filling coffins with dollars. It's awful, let's just admit it. We're all human, we'll keep fighting cause it's how we survive. But it's scary cause we don't know where we'll go when we die.
Don't give up, I know you're strong. Show them all your fire. The days are hard, the nights are long. But you are fire when it's dire. You burn brighter in the dark. You're a survivor when you're tired. You hold tighter, you have heart.
Nothing matters if you don't have your health. All the money in the world doesn't help. The good might go to heaven and the bad might go to hell, but no one wants to leave here, you can tell. And cancer touches everyone, it's in our genetics. And our world's become so toxic, it's all carcinogenic. We've polluted the water, the air, the food we're ingesting is full of hormones and poison. Our population's infected. They sell us cigarettes and liquor, built a business on addictions. We've been paying them to kill ourselves. We're dying to keep living. It's the system, it's a prison. We keep trying to beat it. We get cancer from keeping all of our demons a secret. And our insurance don't cover the things we need to defeat it. And even if it does, then we might die from the treatment. Our best defense is living like we do not know what cancer is. Fight it if you have it and pray that there's something after this.
Don't give up, I know you're strong. Show them all your fire. The days are hard, the nights are long. But you are a fighter when it's dire. You burn brighter in the dark. You're a survivor when you're tired. You hold tighter, you have heart.
You won't know how to be brave till you choose to fight when you're afraid. And you can't experience strength till you struggle to carry the weight. And you won't know why you have faith till you look the devil in his face. And you don't know what you can take till you realize you didn't break.
Don't give up, I know you're strong. Show them all your fire. The days are hard, the nights are long. But you are a fighter when it's dire. You burn brighter in the dark. You're a survivor when you're tired. You hold tighter, you have heart.
I loved that song. That I did not want that song to end. I think that's a good one, Phoebe. I think the chorus is really good. There was a song that I used to listen to when I was going through like my divorce and everything else, and it was like, I think it was called Fight Song. It was a girl that would sing it, but it still had like the basic idea kind of, But anyway, this is a really good one. What?
For Phoebe the Fighter. It's funny.
I know, yeah.
I put that before I heard the song.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one, and I hear what he's saying at the beginning. Like, there are a lot of things that are like kind of like sus about it. Like, how is it that we've been researching this for that long? We've put people on the moon, but we're still like, and you hear different, like, I don't know, maybe they're conspiracy theories, but you hear people say, oh, like, they have cures, but they're making too much money off it, and like when somebody comes up with something, they kind of like buy them out.
Well, the thing about cancer is that it's one term that's used for a broad range.
There's so many different types.
Like, treating brain cancer is completely different from treating like
but you'd think that we would have nailed at least one of them by now.
Well, there are some that have a high survivability rate. So, for example, colon cancer, we figured out if we do screenings starting at X age, the likelihood of you beating it increase exponentially. Same thing with certain forms of breast cancer. Like, I see what he's saying. I just think that the issue is way more complex than we on the outside of the medical field know. Mm-hmm. Like I said, brain cancer and breast cancer, they're both called cancer, but I'm assuming they're completely different, have completely different theories of, survivability and all that other stuff. So, like, I definitely hear what he's saying. And it was a really good balance, actually, between looking at the people that we're giving money to and saying, hey, what the hell, why is this taking so long? And then in verse 2, he talked about, the habits that we all participate in, that are carcinogenic.
Well, yes and no.
I thought that was a good balance.
Like, when I went to Latvia, I don't know what it's like now, but when I went to Latvia, everything that they had there, McDonald's is here in America, and McDonald's was there in Latvia. But the difference was over here, when you get a strawberry sundae from McDonald's, there's a lot of artificial flavorings in there. I don't even know if there's any strawberries in there, to be honest with you.
Right.
But in Latvia, it was strawberries. It was a strawberry sauce, an actual strawberry sauce. Right. It wasn't like this artificial red colored corn syrup, whatever.
Right.
So, like, I agree. I do think that we have allowed, like, you know how you see, like, basically almost anything you buy, it will say, this is known to the state of California to cause cancer.
Right.
Like, there's so many things. Like, currently in our refrigerator, we have red hot dogs.
Surgeon General warnings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Surgeon General warnings. But, yeah, beyond that, like, I think it doesn't matter what state you're in. Everybody knows you shouldn't smoke. Right. You know what I'm saying? But then there are, like literally when I was, when I had moved into my house, like, years ago, I was putting up a light fixture and I was pregnant at the time. And then I realized on the side of the box, it said it was known to the state of California to cause birth defects and cancer. And I was pregnant. I'm like, holy shit. All it was a light fixture. Like, you know the light that would hang above my sink?
Yeah.
That thing was known to the state of, I don't know why. I don't know what was in it. So I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't get this. But then I started realizing it's like on everything. When you start really looking into it, there's just a lot of things that I think that we, like, a lot of times in America, it's about production. It's not about safety in production. So put out the lights, like whatever chemicals it takes to make the lights, good, let it go. And if you want to live a healthy lifestyle without that, it's so expensive. So when he said, hold on, I know, I feel like you have something to say. When he said, it was the part where he was talking about insurance, and he was saying that they don't give you what you need
to defeat it, yeah.
To defeat it.
Yeah, your insurance is not going to cover all of
it. What I got from that part was, our best defense is, our insurance doesn't cover the things we need to defeat it. I was thinking about, like, you know, like, all natural foods or stuff that's, like, more healthy for you and stuff like that. You would think that your insurance would give you a certain percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like, the insurance shouldn't just be for the hospital, but it should be for the grocery store. So when you have a certain insurance and it covers, like, it makes your vegetables 20% off or something like that. Like, something that makes it so that way people make healthier choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the bag of chips. That you're not getting on a sale.
Yeah, I think, there's got to be a...
Make healthy living something people want.
There's got to be a political and economic and a personal solution.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm on a pretty regimented supplement, you know, list, and, you know, try to combine, you know, the latest synthesis versus natural stuff like chaga, camu, things like that. But, it was one of the things that, you know, used to blow my mind and, like, send me into throes of despair.
What?
Was Trump would say something, you know, insensitive on Twitter. People would go crazy. And I was like, can we please just talk about all the people who are dying because of their lack of health care? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm talking about needless deaths now. Like,
right.
And you got to think to yourself, why don't we hear... To me, proportionally speaking, I don't really see cancer affecting the 1%ers, like people who are financially well off, to the degree that it affects regular people. Like, you don't hear every other day a random movie star has cancer and has passed away from cancer. Right. Like, it happens for sure. But because they're in it's kind of similar, parallel, maybe Magic Johnson, you know.
I was literally just thinking about that.
And there was like a running joke in the black community that Magic Johnson's healthier than most of us, you know, and he's got something that in the early 90s was considered a death penalty, like an automatic death penalty. Right. So, like, I don't think there's like some giant conspiracy that the elites have figured out a way to beat cancer and now they're just keeping it for themselves, because I think, to his point in the song, it's you have a captive customer base. Mm-hmm. If you really had a cure for cancer, you know, you can put that out there and jack that shit up in all your capitalistic glory and people would be trillionaires because there's, you know, everybody's scared to death of the concept. So I don't think that there's like some mystery cure that they have that we don't have. I just think that they have access to degrees of healthcare and things of that nature that we don't, your normal average person doesn't have, you know. And when people talk about, like, don't get into politics, like, this is one of those things. Like, okay, we're not supposed to talk about politics, so we're supposed to continue to create have a healthcare. And it's interesting because he's Canadian. So he's born in Canada, and then I'm pretty sure he immigrated here. I think that's his story.
Oh, okay.
So I think Canada has socialized healthcare and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Does that come with its own challenges? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that was killing me in the last 2 years of Trump. I'm like, every single day there was some nonsense about Russia. I'm like, can we please just keep publishing stories?
Yeah.
Publish stories every day of people who are dying because of lack of a health care or making a decision between a light bill and taking care of their health. And
see, that's my issue with it is, I've told this story before, and I'm not comparing human beings to dogs, but when we, we had an extremely, not Vinny and I, this was in my previous marriage, we had a very, very tight budget because we were trying to pay off our house in a very short amount of time. And so the income, it is what it is. So anyway, it was, our dog got hit by a car and we had to bring him to the emergency hospital because the vet clinic was closed. Obviously when he got hit, it was like an odd time. And we brought him in there and they were like, yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where they were like, you could potentially save him and put him through surgery, but his hips are wrecked and it's going to keep dislocating. And their suggestion was to put him down, which was extremely difficult for me. But they were saying you could spend a couple $1,000 on the surgery for him and then you're still going to have to put him down in the end. So we decided we didn't have that couple $1,000 anyway. So we had to put him down, which was really painful. And you had to pay like $200 or $300 to put him down. And it was like, you're paying money. You have to pay money that you didn't have to kill the dog you don't want to die. It was just such a horrible feeling. And so I think for like the rich people that you're talking about, when they get cancer, they're like, all right, I'm going to do everything I need to get this taken care of. Right. But for the rest of us, it can be like a financial, tragedy. Right. Because it's like, okay, how are we going to be able to afford this? And I think that too might be, if you're famous and you have lots of money and you just, you go get your checkups and whatever, and you kind of keep on top of it. But like, if you don't have a bunch of money, you don't have good insurance, then you're not running to the hospital every time you feel something. And, especially with so you're not going to catch it as soon. Men are just, they're not going to go. Yeah. Especially when you put the financial strain on it. A lot of dudes are going to be like, I'm not going to do that to my family. I'd rather die. We got to, I thank God we had insurance and we got life insurance. You guys would get a big check. Like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't bankrupt the family if something like that happened to me, So yeah, I think I love that he talked about that in verse 2, because we've got a real healthcare issue. And obviously I was kind of awakened to it by the story of Alex Smith, this diabetic kid, and all the kids that were dying after, Obamacare, you could be under your parents' insurance till you were 28. Mm-hmm. So all these kids started dying because, they get aged out of their mother's insurance. Just terrible stuff. And I cannot imagine, but it's one of the things where you always wonder to yourself as a parent, like, how are you doing with your kids? Mm-hmm. And two of the kids that we look at as the most selfish have both gone after cancer. In the sense of, Selah did the haircut thing, right? Oh, yeah. And she donated her hair, She donated some of her hair to kids with leukemia. And then Dorian, as soon as he got his little job and started making money, immediately, like, he's getting letters from St. Jude's every month now. Like, he's got his little St. Jude calendar up. And that was, both of those, it was completely self-initiated. Right. By the kids. So it's one of those things where it's, but, honestly, if it wasn't for the channel and the story, I wouldn't even listen to this song, because that concept is so terrifying to me. Like, something is inside of the body of somebody you love, and you can't go after it. Yeah, it's like kids always ask you sometimes, like, hey, if a bad guy broke in, what would you do? And then you sit there and you reassure him and all that, and like,
the concept that there could be something killing somebody that I love and that I can't go in there and whatever is
yeah,
really, really, really difficult idea. But yeah, man, it's a crazy thing. And he was, he talked about people even dying in the treatment, like dying from the treatment.
Right. And that does happen a lot, is what they say.
The first person I lost to cancer, that's what happened to him. He'd been in remission, he was doing great, and then he, but he was older, and there are a lot of factors that go into it, but, the chemo and radiation, I mean, it does,
dumped on myself.
it's essentially nuking the thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, it does hella damage to the body, and you really have to be in a certain kind of mindset to even endure that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like, when he said we get cancer from keeping all our demons a secret, kind of reminded me of our gear. Maybe you're sick because of your secrets, you know? And I think that, negativity and stuff like that, like, it doesn't help the process. It doesn't fare well for your cells and stuff like that. And so keeping a positive mind during stuff like that is absolutely important. And I think that's going to be a difficult task. But I think having stuff like this, like a fight song, or, having certain things that you kind of go to as your strength. The one part that was like pretty emotional too was when he said, where he was talking about dying because we don't know what's after it.
Yeah, we're afraid because we don't know what's coming after this right there. And then at the end, he said, fight if you have to and pray that there's something after this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, right here. But it's scary because we don't know where we'll go when we die. I think that, for me, like, that's one of the things that I guess you could say I'm glad that is part of my theology, is that I do know where I'm going, when I die. And I think that kind of security can be there for everybody. But I think that I do think it's a legitimate thing to say even still, because like, even though we have a belief of what happens after and we trust the God that tells us that, we still have never seen it.
You don't have experiential knowledge.
Right.
That
Exactly.
We know of.
Exactly. And we don't have somebody that well,
we do.
We do. I was going to say we don't have somebody that went there and came back, but we do, because that's what happened with Jesus. He died and he rose from the dead so he can rise us from our death.
Yeah. Yeah. And, he said something about, good people go to heaven, bad people go to hell. And
oh, he did?
Yeah.
I was talking to the kids about that the other day.
What?
Well, because something came up about Catholicism and Christianity. And Zoe was like, I mean, what's really the difference? They're basically the same thing. And I was like, well, not really, because I said, it was funny because Dory was like, just ask Grandma. But I was like, no, I said, like, a Catholic, this is mine, and maybe there would have been more you would have put in there. But I said, a Catholic believes that from the time that you're converted and you become a Christian, from that time backward, all the bad things and all the sin you ever did, that's all covered by Jesus. But anything from there moving forward, anything that you do wrong, you then have to make up for. So every bad you do has to be overcome by the good that you do. And if you don't have that, if your good doesn't outweigh your bad when you die, then now you're going to purgatory so you can work off your bad. But I said, but in Christianity, Jesus' death on the cross is enough to cover all of our sins from the past, the present, and the future. All of it, for all time. He's completely covered that. And so we are right before God because of that right then. So there's nothing that we're going to do to make up for it or to do enough good to be able to get to heaven. Like, it's not about us.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the major caveat I would make is that there's a difference between official Roman Catholic teaching and then what your regular...
Isn't that official?
Person.
That's not official?
No, what you just articulated was the official. But I'm not certain that everybody who would call themselves Catholic
would say that.
Oh,
okay. I see what you're saying.
And one of my favorite phrases...
There you have it. That's the official.
One of my favorite phrases I've ever heard in my life is that we're justified by faith alone, but we're not justified by believing in the doctrine of justification by faith alone.
Right.
Which I thought was pretty clever. I think it is important to cut between different denominations or whatever, but I think for me, the more people I see, the more I observe, it's just anybody who looks to Jesus and says, help. I don't know where I'm going. I'm scared. And I don't have to... Look, you've lived an entire lifetime. Here's my thing. Like, you've lived an entire lifetime of sinning. So you would have to live in a completely other lifetime to make up for it.
Right.
The problem is, even if you were granted another lifetime to make up for it, you commit another batch of sins that you'd have to make up for.
Right.
So
you're stuck.
There's a very real pragmatic sort of idea of just trusting Jesus and saying, that's all I got, and if Jesus can't close the deal for me, then I'm lost, because like I said, it would take me an entire lifetime to undo all the bullshit I've done in this lifetime, and then that lifetime would already be another set of issues and probably worse.
Right.
So I'm just gonna trust Jesus, and I've really come to this. There's a lot of times I'm like, what if what if it isn't real? What if my theology is off? Then I show up to heaven and God's like, you were wrong, or whatever. And to me, at the end of the day, I'm just like, if Jesus is not enough, there's nothing anybody could do in the universe to get me there.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna trust Jesus, and that's it. That's all I got.
Right.
Because if anything,
Going all in.
If it's up to me at all, I'm gonna lose. So I'll just say trust Jesus and then call it a day. But definitely, man, F cancer. I hope, I'm very optimistic about the future, obviously, and I hope for a day where I don't care what people's political persuasions are or whatever. Like, I just hope one day we can all look at this healthcare thing and look at it as a crime.
Oh, yeah.
That your monetary strata in the richest nation the world has ever seen can be a life or death determiner. I just think that's it's crazy to me. Simultaneous to that, though, there has been almost hundreds of billions, maybe $500 billion in donations and things like that. And it's like I said, we've made progress, but
we're not there yet.
You almost ask yourself, like, all the energy and effort that we spend to go to war all over the planet.
Oh, I know.
And I was just listening to a Joe Rogan show.
Who would have gone to war against those things instead?
Yeah, I was listening to Joe Rogan, and there's this guy, amazing. He's Jimmy Chan or something like that. I'm completely butchering this guy's name. But the guy was SEAL Team 2. He was in Ramadi. He was a medic. After he got out of SEAL teams, he did 2 deployments to Ramadi. It was very terrible. It's the worst place to be in Iraq for this last 20 years, this span of war that they were in. And then he gets out of the teams, and then he becomes an actual Harvard-educated medical doctor. Then the guy goes to NASA. And it's like, okay, you take that guy, all the effort,
right?
And the U.S. probably spent $30 million on this one guy, between training, deployments, all that jazz. Take that guy, take that brilliant individual who's smart enough to be on NASA, for God's sake.
Right.
And intelligent enough to be a Harvard grad in the medical field. How about you take all that time, effort, and money that he took to get into the SEAL teams?
Oh, there's her name.
Right? To get into the SEAL teams, and how about we just take care of that? Like, have him just completely deploy him 24/7.
Oh yeah, I know. Where would it have been?
Right? So, like, where would we be if we were not, trying to master the globe and teaching this kid to master the art of killing?
Yep.
And saying, hey, you're particularly gifted here. You got a gifted mind. How about you apply that mind and that determination to, why can't we have a cancer team,
Yeah, you should read this, babe.
Out loud?
You read faster than me, so, like, if there's something that we shouldn't read out loud.
Her and I were Marines and deployed in Afghanistan together.
She loved your channel. So his wife, is that Lora? Is that how you spell it?
Yeah,
just a different
Lora,
spelling of Lora? She loved your channel and your reactions, especially your Pearl Jam and Queen ones. Always kept out a look for Guns N' Roses. Fuck you two, for blocking our Guns N' Roses.
But we will have a solution.
We will for the rest of you.
And for you too, Matt. Don't worry.
That was her all-time favorite band. Her and I were Marines together and deployed to Afghanistan together. At that time, she was just my best friend.
Yeah. So Phoebe's currently, you can hear
Fighting.
us.
She's currently fighting.
You can hear us, Phoebe. We got you. You ain't got to worry about nothing. All right. Enough of this video. Holy moly. Shout out to Matt, though, for sharing that with the community. I tell the kids all the time. It's like, God set up arithmetic that happiness is multiplied and sorrow is divided. Mm-hmm. So, and then the Bible also talks about being sorrowful and always rejoicing. And so, we believe that God is good. He has good plans for Laura and you, Phoebe, and don't you dare despair. And
There's
your
another
other
sister too.
Your whole family. He's got good plans for you. We just got to stick around long enough to see it. But anyway, shout out to the homie. It's a silent count for me. Sometimes a song or a moment is too significant to rate it. And
it's an 11 for me.
It's a silent count, but holy moly. Much love to everybody. And moral of the story is, man, love the people around you and try to waste as little time as possible. That's the moral of the story.
And your shirt's on the way, honey.
And your shirt's on the way. So, there you are, dear listener. And you're going to send us a picture of it. And you're going to be smiling. Period.
End of discussion.
End of discussion. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.